Episode 79 of Outlander Cast is brought to you by Inked and Screened Etsy Shop. So please visit www.inkedandscreened.com to check out all of their great products, including their vinyl decals, wooden keychains, posters, and screened shirts, 2 of which we will be giving away today. Plus, you can use an exclusive coupon code. It's OutlanderCast, just one word, OutlanderCast, and that's going to give you 25% off any purchase. Welcome to Outlander Cast with Mary and Blake. It's a podcast dedicated to the show Outlander on Stars. Hello, everyone. Welcome one, welcome all. That's right, ladies and gents. Due to an overwhelmingly popular demand, we are proud to present this bonus episode of Outlander Cast, a complete and comprehensive review of Ron Moore's Battlestar Galactica. So even if you haven't seen BSG, but you've thought about checking it out, don't worry, because we're starting this episode with a non-spoiler review of the show. Then we're going to follow it up with an in-depth spoiler conversation for those of you who have seen it. So whether you're a Cylon, a Colonial, the One True God, or the Lord of Kobol, get ready to spool your FTLs because we're in the frackin' ship and the board is green. This is really exciting. So exciting that I have my volume up on my phone. We are doing multiple things at the same time in this episode. We have a brand new Facebook Live setup. So those of you who are watching us live, we want to see in the comments where you're from, whether you've seen. So if you have seen BSG, give a thumbs up. And if you have not seen BSG, give a heart, because we all still heart Ron Moore, whether you've seen it or not. So,
hold on. Before you continue, I just want to give a shout out to Kirsten Lang, who is coming at us from Scotland.
Yay!
And it is now like 12 a.m. there.
Oh my goodness!
And she is listening and watching on Facebook Live.
Welcome,
and I'm really
Kirsten.
pumped because you want to know why I'm really, really pumped?
Tell me.
Because I got her into BSG.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say.
Welcome, even more so. Very exciting.
Yes,
awesome.
I'm really pumped about it.
So we saw a lot of thumbs up. I think I saw a lot of people who have been able to watch BSG, and give some hearts if you have not watched it yet. And if this is a replay for you, you can still give the hearts and the thumbs up. No problems. So we're really excited to watch BSG. Blake, can you give a little backstory on how you got into Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, actually I can. I wasn't a huge fan. I just kind of missed BSG. I was really into Lost. I was really into 24. I was still kind of early in my TV watching career. If you could go along with that, I suppose.
Sure.
And I just started watching all these different shows, and then we started podcasting.
Yeah.
And somebody had mentioned to me, one of my good friends, Brian Davids, who's actually on his own podcast called the Film Schlubs Podcast. Mm-hmm. He's like, dude, you're doing an Outlander podcast, and you love Star Trek. Can you really even legitimately say to anybody that you are a Ron Moore fan if you have not seen Battlestar Galactica? So what I did was I immediately went to Netflix, and of course all of it was there.
Yep.
And I binged it alone, by the way. I binged it alone in about a week and a half.
Where did you binge watch it? Because it is not an easy series to get through in a week and a half. Tell us how you did this.
Well, Mary, first of all, my daughter, when we first had her, my daughter would stay up with me at night.
Our little Larson lass,
yeah,
Felicity.
So she would stay with me late at night, and she and I would watch BSG together. We would just watch BSG. So she watched the entirety of it with me, and Mary was either, sleeping because she was really tired from, giving birth, that whole shenanigans
thing.
Or when she finally recovered later on, she would be out doing her musical engagements that she would have with the American band.
Yep.
So when she was gone, I was watching it. And when she was asleep, I was watching it. When I was at work, I was watching it. When I was podcasting, I was watching it. I was watching it constantly. I got, oh my God. I got totally
He was
hooked on it.
addicted. He was hooked. He was addicted. And his love for Ron Moore and so many other members of the Outlander team just grew even more. So what are the BSG Outlander connections?
Well, the BSG Outlander connections actually have a ton. Well, actually, before this, why don't we go over your connection with BSG and how it all transpired with you?
What do you mean, my connection? Do I have a connection?
No, your connection. How did you get started on it?
Oh my God, I thought you were saying that like I had a distant relative in Battlestar Galactica, and I just got really excited for a hot second. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how it started. I don't remember how it started. I know that I watched it. I know that you told me I had to watch a movie first because I wasn't going to understand everything if I didn't watch the movie before I started to watch the series.
There was the mini series.
I do know that I would watch you watch this show, and I was so confused because people were saying that people were robots, and I was like, "How are people robots?"
And I was like, "They're not robots, bro. They're Cylons. Get it right." I was
so confused. So can you enlighten me? Because obviously I was sleep deprived.
I know. No, basically, I binged the entire series. I had watched it, and I watched it in like, oh my God, I fired through it. And then as soon as I finished it, the new season of Outlander was coming up, season 2, and I said, Mary, and I said the same exact thing to her that my friend Brian David said to me. You cannot consider yourself a Ron Moore fan if you don't watch Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
To have an informed opinion about Outlander, you needed to watch BSG.
Okay, yes.
And she did, and I give her credit. We binged it. We binged it very quickly, so I watched it twice, and I really enjoyed it.
And I'm pretty sure our baby watched it twice as well.
That
because
may or may not be. I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Yes.
So ultimately, the connection between BSG and Outlander is a very serious connection. It's actually a huge connection, and that is the showrunner, Ron Moore. Ron Moore runs Outlander. He ran BSG. BSG was the show that he created prior to Outlander.
And it was a while ago.
Yeah, no, I think the BSG finale happened in 2010-ish.
I don't know. I watched it on Netflix, so I have
whatever.
No idea.
And at any rate, it doesn't matter. But there are more connections to Outlander than in BSG. Bear McCreary is the composer for Outlander. He was also the composer for
Battlestar Galactica.
And all the music that you will hear today is courtesy of one Bear McCreary.
And also his wife, Ray Yarbrough, who is the vocalist for Outlander for the theme song.
The theme you just heard us play?
Yeah, the Sing Me a Song. You guys know what I'm talking about. Skyboat song.
Right.
Rhea was also the vocalist for Battlestar Galactica.
Correct.
And she did a lot of like, wah, wah. No words. Just very
Well, no,
interesting.
actually, she did sing a lot of different languages. Aramaic, Armenian.
No words that I understood.
No, clearly not.
I needed a translator for my phone, but she did a great job. She really did a lovely job.
So then we also have a ton of other connections. A lot of the writing staff on BSG is now writing on Outlander. Steve McNutt, who is the DP for Outlander, was the main DP, the director of photography, for Battlestar Galactica. So I'm just, it's just basically Ron recreated his BSG staff for Outlander. And I think that is why you see such a huge jump in quality for Outlander when it comes to other shows. So, but my love, before we go any further, I think we should just do we should just get into the non-spoiler review for...
Before we get into the review, I would like you to give this is going to be a fun game. I would like you to give a 30-second show synopsis. I'm going to time you of describing...
No, we can't do that. We can't do that because I don't want to spoil anything.
No, like lay the groundwork for episode 1, 2, what people need to know. Because if they're watching this and they have no idea, they need to know what these crazy words are that we're talking about. Ready? On your mark.
Well...
Why, you want music?
No, well, no, I mean, it's fine.
On your mark. Get set. Go.
Okay, basically, the BSG is a bunch of people that living on this world called Caprica, and then they create these things called the Basically, they create AI. And the Cylons eventually...
Yeah, I mean robots.
Yeah. The Cylons, which they eventually become, they take over the worlds. And there's a big battle between Cylons and the people. And the Cylons are hunting all the people. And the last one ship left is Battlestar Galactica.
Done.
And, oh my God, that was wicked quick.
That was awesome, though. Here we go. Ready? Want to do it? Want to calm me down? I'm going to press it.
Okay, ready, go.
Oh my God, your worst fears come true. Robots take over the world and they try to kill every human. People get lost in space. Thank God, except the robots are in space too. So you better hold on to your butts. Robots are Cylons. That's right. Cylons mean robots. So when you hear us say robots or Cylons, it's the same exact thing. And there's like a Navy ship, except it's a spaceship. So there's like admirals and all these kind of things. And that's how they roll. And it's co-ed. And everyone's really cool, meaning they're all attracted to each other. All right, done.
That was... I can't tell if yours was better or mine was better. They were both pretty.
Our powers
pretty
combined.
Poor. They were both pretty poor.
Ron Moore better not listen to this podcast. He'll be like, this is what they describe my show as?
This is what they did?
Okay.
They're co-eds, and they have admirals. That's how they roll?
Oh, God, you're right. Sorry, Ron. Sorry.
If you are watching, Ron, thank you for watching, but wow,
so,
that was bad.
When we watch shows, we often rate them.
Well, no, let's just... we got to play the music.
Oh.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm bad at reading Google Docs. Okay.
See? Now, for you Outlander fans, notice the bagpipes. This is Battlestar Galactica, baby.
It's because it's Bear McCreary, and he loves himself some Scottish instruments, even if they're outer space. Okay, so every time that we recap a television show, we rate it 1 out of 5. In Outlander, we rate episodes by kilts. So 1 out of 5 kilts. 1 being like, that is the worst thing ever, and 5 being, oh my God, best television episode. When we review episodes of The Leftovers, we rated upon Damon's. That's right. A person.
After Damon Lindelof.
Because he's amazing. So this episode...
and for Gilmore Girls, we do Cups of Coffee.
Cups of Coffee, yes.
That's right.
So what are we rating BSG episode?
Fracks.
So frack, here's another thing I didn't get in my 30 seconds. They say frack a lot.
Lots of fracks.
Frack
and is basically another word for...
F. Like the F swear word. But Ron Moore and his team was like, you can't swear that much on TV, but we're just going to say frack instead. So people will be like, oh my goodness, frack me. And that's,
Hey, Missy Ortiz says that your explanation won.
Ooh, thanks.
She said #robots. Thanks, Missy. I appreciate that. You're supposed to have my back, girl.
So fracks, you're going to hear fracks. And there's also a big phrase called "so say we all" that we're going to throw in there a few times.
Wait, where is it?
Where is it? I have no idea.
It's not playing.
"So say we all" is a very common phrase that is said. So we're going to see what this episode is in the amount of fracks. 1 being not
so
episode,
say we all.
Series.
There it is.
There it was.
I got you.
1 being, oh my gosh, that was really wretched. Why did I waste my time watching this? 5 being, holy smokes, that was the best show I've ever seen.
Right.
Definitely, top.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just.
You're just gonna call me Reese.
I'm sleep deprived. Yes. What? How many fracks would you give BSG as a series?
I'm giving it 4.9 fracks.
I hate when you break things up. You just can't do whole numbers.
No, I don't want to do the whole number because it's not perfect. There has yet to be an absolutely perfect show that I've seen. The closest one was Lost and Bloodline.
Oh, Bloodline gave me nightmares, so that would not win for me.
But I'm not saying that they're necessarily better than BSG, but I would put BSG in my top 5 shows of all time.
Wow. Okay.
Of all time.
So that means it's basically a 5.
Yes. Okay. That's why I said 4.9.
Awesome. I'm giving it a 4, which is very good. It's very, very good. I like to work in whole numbers now.
I'm not sure. You throw 5s about, like you bandy them about left and right.
Yeah, and there were some things in this show that bothered me tremendously.
Okay, well, what in general terms, what bothered you? I mean, was it...
I'm going to tell you. Okay. People never had dirty clothes, okay? They're on these ships for how many years?
Right.
How many years? And you never see them have like a yard sale, thrift sale, clothing swap, but everyone has new clothes all the time. How are you getting new clothes? You have been stuck on a spaceship for years. Like the president is always in a new suit. And I'm like, where did you get this suit? Is there a Salvation Army that we don't know about? And did everyone bring a suit when they left the like Holocaust of humanity? So that was one of the things I had serious problems with, is how nice everyone's clothes still looked after they were supposedly stuck on a spaceship for a very long time. And Blake knows this because every episode I would comment like, wow, look how nice that outfit is. Look how beautiful her dress is.
Like, oh, where did they get pens? Or like, where did they get paper?
Seriously, they had like pens and paper and boxes. Like there's one episode where someone's moving and I'm like, is there a Staples nearby? That was also on the ship that I missed. Where do you get this stuff? You're on a ship. So if I didn't have those issues, I would have thought that this might be a 5. But it was something that was distracting to me and made Blake laugh a lot. So.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. No, I really liked this show. I mean, for those of you who have not watched it, obviously, I'm going to go in not a lot of detail, but the writing was spectacular. The direction was spectacular. As a matter of fact, Ron Moore directed a couple of episodes himself. John Dahl directed a couple of episodes of Battlestar Galactica. Michael Reimer did that as well. And it was funny because this show, it premiered on Sci-Fi, and it stayed there for its 4-year run. Now, that to me, usually when you watch Sci-Fi, it's kind of like those really shitty shows.
Blake,
oh,
no
sorry,
swearing.
I'm not swearing
on
on
Facebook
Facebook
Live.
Okay, sorry.
Explicit.
It's kind of junky TV sometimes, and you could tell. And sometimes the special effects in BSG weren't perfect. They were a little dated. But it was.
It wasn't the Sci-Fi Channel.
It wasn't the Sci-Fi Channel. And let's talk about the special effects at that time. Not as good as they are now. They probably didn't have a very big budget because they are on Sci-Fi. And the one thing I would say about BSG is that it tried something far different than everybody else was doing at the time.
Yes.
It took a really big sci-fi show, but made it about the characters. And yes, there's a lot of plot things. There's mythology to it. There's
the robots
coming at you, nuclear weapons,
the clean clothes,
finding new planets. But they never took you out of the reality element, and they always everything was, for the most part, character based. The characters moved the story forward. So yes, there are sci-fi elements to it, and if you aren't a huge fan of sci-fi, although I don't know how you aren't, because if you're watching this, you are either a Leftovers fan or an Outlander fan, and those are sci-fi elemented as well. If you're watching that show, and yes, it did have those elements, but it was so special. The character of Starbuck, and we'll get into those things too, but. Essentially, it was about people just trying to survive. And, it kind of reminds me of The Walking Dead a little bit in that way. Because The Walking Dead is a zombie show, right?
Yes.
But it's more than just zombies.
Yes.
It's about surviving.
Humanity.
It's about humanity, finding out who you are. Where do we go from here? There's no Earth. There's no, they don't have a home because their home was destroyed by Cylons.
Yep.
So where do they go? Do they just run aimlessly through space in these ships with no staples,
No new clothes.
And no new clothes? Do they keep doing that? That to me is really special. So if you're going to liken it to something, I'm going to liken it to Walking Dead. Just no zombies.
Yes, and much better.
But
I just said that.
Just in space. Yes. Yes, and much, much, much better. I'm so disenchanted with The Walking Dead that I haven't even watched any of the second half of this current season.
But what we have watched is Outlander. So is this something that Outlander fans should watch?
Yes, definitely. If you consider yourself an Outlander fan, and if you consider yourself a fan of Ron Moore and his work, if you like what you see in Outlander, then you should definitely watch Battlestar Galactica. Because again, for me to say this, I mean, this is big time. It's top 5. I mean, I'm saying Lost, 24, Breaking Bad, I can't think of many other shows that are that much better than BSG.
Terry Fawcett wants to know, Fawcett, I'm going to give it like a little accent. Please reference the original BSG as to how it ties into this one. If you haven't seen it, you should.
Yes, the original BSG, what aired in the 70s, and Richard Hatch, who plays Tom Zarek in the new one, was actually Apollo.
So he was a good guy in the first...
He was a good guy in the first one.
Yeah, and then years later, he became this bad guy. And you can tell who the bad guys are in BSG because they all wear leather jackets. No joke. Like, people come in and they're wearing a leather jacket, and I was like, he's going to be a bad guy. And they were. Everyone who wore a leather jacket was a bad guy on this show, including Richard Hatch. He was the first bad guy to walk in with a leather jacket.
Yes, he was. he and Dexter's dad. Dexter, the show, if you know, Dexter's dad in that television show was Tom Zarek's buddy, and he wore leather too.
I didn't watch Dexter because I hate blood.
I know.
I hate blood so much. Okay.
Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
No, I'm just afraid of blood. So, yes, if you are an Outlander fan, if you're a sci-fi fan, if you just...
Yeah, what's your opinion? Do you think Outlander fans, coming from a woman's perspective, someone who loves Outlander, who read the books, who knows, and isn't, quite as, nerdy as me or some of the other...
Hold up. Not as nerdy?
Well, no, what I meant is...
you're sci-fi nerdy?
Yeah, you're not as in love with BSG as I am, so I can't be entirely partial.
Mm-hmm. I think if you're an Outlander fan, it's like doing extra homework right now while it's Outlander, because you get to know so many of the different facets of Bear McCreary, of Ron Moore, of this team who has worked on this show that we love so much. If you enjoy sci-fi in any way, shape, or form, check out BSG for sure. For sure. If you don't like things that make you think... If you just like fluff shows, fluff and utter shows, and trust me, I love me some fluff shows like Parks and Rec. Hold up.
I love Parks and
So
Rec.
good. But it doesn't really make you question.
No, but Parks and Rec is good because it like Gilmore Girls too. It
makes you happy.
It turns your brain off for a little bit.
I love it. It's one of my favorite shows, but I'm just saying that this kind of show is one that you're going to watch it and you might every once in a while say, ooh, what would I do in that situation? And make you think.
Right.
So I think it's great. I think it's great, and the lead female kicks butt.
Yes, she does.
So that is what we have to say for those of you who have not yet watched Battlestar Galactica.
It is worth watching. Please do so. It's about people surviving. That's the most important thing.
In space.
And if you like that, if you like people surviving, and it's not very, like there aren't aliens, and it's not like Star Trek like that. It's about people and what they've created.
Yeah. And how they survive.
With each other, really. And what they do to each other. That is,
the relationships.
The relationships. Thank you. You see, that's why she's the better half of this podcast team. She knows exactly what I'm trying to say.
Tim Gould said, bow down to the queen. And I think he's referencing the queen of all nerdy things. Thank you, Tim. That's what I'm taking it as.
My love, are you ready to finally get into the spoiler section?
Yes, I am. Is there music?
Yes, there is music. Now we can play it. So for those of you who have not yet seen BSG, now is either the time to turn off the feed, on the live feed on Facebook Live. Please don't. No. Or turn off the podcast, go watch BSG, and then come back and deal with us then.
And if you've enjoyed it, give us a thumbs up.
All right, so here we go.
But you can stay if you've been watching BSG.
Let's talk spoilers.
Okay. Blake.
Yes.
You get to go first, and you're going to sound so much more eloquent than me because you've watched this series twice.
I have.
And you've geeked out about it a bajillion times. Blake has gone so far as to draw a piece of artwork.
Oh, yes, I have.
To Battlestar Galactica.
I perhaps might. And as a matter of fact, since...
You totally did.
I might go get it. But since we're in the spoiler territory now, I can tell you that it's Starbucks painting in her apartment. I drew that, and I put it. It's hanging on our basement wall outside of our studio.
Yeah.
So I'm actually really excited about that.
So we want to know about your top 5 favorite things about BSG. You know, like what makes it one of your favorite shows of all time? What makes it something that you want to podcast about and tell more people about?
So I would say the number 5. Okay, we're gonna go 5 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then we're going to go back.
Countdown?
We're going to go back and forth, you and I.
Oh, okay. I'll be more prepared. Let me pull it up.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right, number 5 for me is the mythology of this show. What this show did was it took a very simple concept. Cylons are coming. That people created them. Mm-hmm. They're coming and they destroy Earth as they all know it. People leave and then they destroy Caprica. And then now we're left with Battlestar Galactica and the whole crew going off and doing their own thing. Very simple premise. People create things, those things destroy them. But it took a whole different level of connection, and it started involving mysticism and theology and religions, talking about the one true God for the Cylons, as opposed to the 7 gods for the Lords of Kobol. Like, oh my God. And then it started getting onto the...
Ting. Oh my God.
And then it started getting... Oh my gosh. So then it started getting into, okay, how do we get past the Cylons? And they start bringing in the things of like the Spear of Apollo and the Book of Pythia and the what's it called there? The prophecy of Kara Thrace, the prophecy of the people losing their way and then coming back, and Kara comes back and saves them, and it's all connected. And then you start having the song that we just played, which is actually entitled Kara Remembers from season 4. Remember when she's playing the piano? Mm-hmm. And it's with her dad in quotes.
Mind blown.
It's that song, right? But that song is actually based off of All Along the Watchtower, written by Bob Dylan. But the idea was that song exists. It's existed in humanity for, or what we consider humanity, forever. You know, it's gone back to the times of BSG, and it existed. And then guys like Sam would sing it, you know, on Caprica, and then Kara plays it, and then when she translates it out to numbers, it's the coordinates to Earth as we know it now.
Bob Dylan. Little did he know.
Right? I know. And what a cool freaking idea from Ron Moore to take something that we can all relate to so easily, you know, All Along the Watchtower, and then translate that into a whole different world and say, no, it's not what you think it is. It's actually this. How effing cool is that, right?
Yes.
And so when they start expanding on the mythology, and they expand on the Cylons of the mythology and the Final Five, and they bring all this in, and it illuminates so much story, so much world to live in that they can expand on, and they have. They've made, you know, countless movie to TVs, a TV to movie series. They've made. They actually made another show called Caprica, based off of this. Mm-hmm. It was a prequel to Battlestar Galactica. It was life from Admiral Adama's dad.
You have to call him by his official title.
I know, right? So, you know what? I'm just going to do it right now.
So say we all.
I will, Bill. I promise. And then you start adding all that together. You can really explore this world, and it made it feel meaty. It made it feel like it made you feel like Star Wars almost, or Harry Potter. Like there's so much else there that you can explore and dive into. Mm-hmm. It's like Harry Potter. You could dive into wand making. Oh, and by the way,
you're a wizard, Harry.
I was the one who made the first Harry Potter reference.
I may be rubbing off on you.
I know. You could dive into wand making. You could dive into the Deathly Hallows. You could dive into all of that stuff. And the same thing goes for BSG. Mm-hmm. It's all the gods and all the different histories, and I just love that. All right, number 5 for you. What do you got?
It was actually All Along the Watchtower. I just thought it was so cool that this song brought the Cylons together. I loved how they were just kind of crazy, like especially Saul. He would just be like putting his ear to all different parts of the ship and freaking out. And
where it's in the fracking ship.
No, you had to do it like with crazy eyes, like it's in the fracking ship.
No,
like,
but you had to do it like this.
With the one eye.
The one eye. It's in the fracking ship. Like you had to say it kind of drunk and slurry too.
You should hold this while you do it. There you go.
It's in the fracking ship.
Exactly. So aside from that, or in addition to that, I just loved that the song played such a major role. The little music lover inside of me just thought that was really neat. And I don't know. I loved it, that whole aspect. But I will agree with you with the mythology and add in, I'm going to raise you a Gaius Baltar, like how people even created like a religion about him. You know, there were these big religions, but then even he became a somewhat religious figure. I mean, people, when they're under stressful situations, create different cult-like situations sometimes that seem to come out of thin air. And I just thought it was really interesting. So there you go. How about your number 4?
My number 4 is the conflict that comes up between you,
me.
Well, not you, but like
what did
you,
I do?
the all encompassing you, the
humanity,
the general we, the viewership, and the show itself. Okay, because Ron Moore has this history with Star Trek, right? And Star Trek is, it's created by Gene Roddenberry back in the 60s. And Star Trek was supposed to be this perfect utopia.
My dad's online right now.
Is he really?
Dad,
hey,
look
Mr.
at
Earl.
what I've become. Look at your baby girl. I've made it big. I'm on Facebook Live. Sorry, continue.
So, oh my gosh. So, notice how I didn't say God that time. Star Trek was created by Gene Roddenberry. It was this perfect utopia. And it was like, everybody got along, and it was just this great thing. And occasionally you'd have people come in and they'd have conflict. But humans, the people, you and I, we would all get along because everyone was working towards the greater good. BSG, was created by Ron, well, not created, but it was adapted by Ron Moore. And Ron Moore served as a writer on Star Trek The Next Generation. He helped run Deep Space Nine. He was a part of Voyager for a little bit. He did all those things. So he had that Star Trek background. But what he did was he took the Star Trek stuff, made it cool, and said, we're going to make everybody hate each other. The crew is going to have conflict. The people aren't going to like each other. They're going to have problems. People are going to hate Gaius Baltar. And Gaius Baltar is going to hate other people. And then, also, like you have the father and son, you have Apollo and Admiral Adama hating each other. Of course, by the end, they like each other, but still, they start off with a
tons of conflict,
really bad relationship. Saul Tigh is a freaking drunk who loses his wife. He has problems. Then there's racism involved. How everybody hated the Sagittarians, because just because they were like a backwards people, and everybody just couldn't stand them. Nobody liked each other, and that is what is awesome. That is also what made it fulfilling as a viewer, because not everything was perfect. You had to pick sides. You were a fan of Bill Adama in the beginning, or you were a fan of Apollo, or you were a fan of Gaius Baltar. And speaking of Gaius Baltar, by the way.
Hey, hold up. He's my number 3.
I know. Well, taking somebody and using that character as the person who helps facilitate the end of humanity on Caprica, but making that person a main player in your show and waiting for that desperate moment for everybody else to find out that he did it, and then stretching that out, and then giving him a relationship with a Cylon.
And not just like whatever relationship, but this incredibly deep, we are connected and are supposed to save a child relationship.
Right. Like, and that's also part of the mythology too. Like the mythology of Hera's baby with Hilo. Like, oh my goodness, right? Or not Hera. Hera is the baby. Boomer 2. Their baby, like coming, like being saved, and like, God, it's just so freaking cool. So the conflict, like you hated Baltar, but then you loved him, and then you hated Apollo, but then you loved him, and then you hated him again because he was cheating on his wife with Starbuck, but then you liked him again, and that conflict that you kept having, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like good is here, bad is here. There was always gray. And because of that, because of the conflict with the crew themselves, and then also how they handled each other, you as a viewer, you were stuck in the humanity of it all. Like Starbuck, you kind of got sick of her in the beginning. You were like, oh my God, get over yourself. You're not that cool. Like, go smoke a cigar somewhere else. But she too had her own issues, her own inner conflict with her mother and her father, and not knowing where she belonged, and all of those. That conflict was perfect. Oh my God, I loved it. How about you, my love? Number 4 for you.
My number 4 is President Rosalind powering through cancer while being president of like the last bits of humanity.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And what I don't know, I just to see cancer portrayed on screen is sometimes an interesting thing, often very difficult. And I think that they treated it with a lot of grace, and they made it stretch out for a long time. Often on television, like someone has cancer and they talk about it, or they might show a treatment once or twice, but then it's kind of forgotten. And cancer treatments go on for a very long time.
And it played a very prevalent role with her character.
Yes.
In this entire series. I mean, almost from day one, you found out that she had cancer.
Yes.
And you had to figure, like, it went into remission, then it came back, and it was like a problem.
Yeah.
And then like you even had like the conflict when she was taking the drugs, and people found out, and they're like, how can you be a real president
when you're tripping?
When you're tripping, and like you're leading us to Kobol here to try to find our humanity, and you could be hallucinating. Are you on drugs right now? And she had to say yes.
I also love her because she was in Dances with Wolves, which was a movie that my mom was obsessed with growing up. So I've watched it way too many times, and I know how to say buffalo. Tatonka. So,
oh my God.
How about your number 3?
My number 3 was, I think you're going to hate me for this. Bear McCreary.
Why would I ever hate you?
Because I thought you would say this.
Say what?
That Bear McCreary was one of your favorites.
Obviously, but I saw that he was one of yours, so I just figured I wouldn't have to write it down.
Bear McCreary wasn't supposed to do the whole to score the whole show. He was working with another composer for the miniseries, and that guy was supposed to take over, but the other guy dropped it, and Bear McCreary was left with it. And this was one of his first big projects that ever, and he was like super young when he was doing this. He kind of didn't know what he was doing. I will say that the BSG overall soundtrack for 4 seasons is as good, if not better, than Outlander.
I would disagree. Because there were a couple of moments where I'd sit there and I'd go, ooh, Bear.
What are you thinking, buddy?
Okay.
Remember the Twilight music?
There was one time where he sounded like, what is that guy's name? Carter Burwell?
Yeah.
If any of you have seen Twilight, the first movie, you know what I'm talking about. Carter Burwell has like the same scoring techniques every single movie he scores. I could sit there and be like, oh, it's Twilight guy. So there was one time when I was sitting there and I was like, why does Bear sound like the Twilight composer? What's going on? But I overall would agree with you. And maybe that's unfair for me to say because there's only been a couple seasons of Outlander.
Here it is.
Is this Twilight or Bear's music?
This is Bear. See, you couldn't even tell.
Well, I'm not wearing headphones.
Oh, well, why aren't you wearing headphones?
Because I can generally hear what you're doing. Oh, see? Just picture Bella Swan hanging out with Edward on top of the trees. Monkey. And he's like, say it out loud. Vampire. Like this right here sounds like Carter Burwell. I really hope Bear McCreary doesn't hear this or see this on Facebook Live because that would be embarrassing as well.
This is when the second ship, the Pegasus, shows up, and like they meet each other, and they're like, "Everything's so cool. We found other humans. Wow!"
But I honestly love the rest. This was I should say that I really did love everything except this one song. This one song broke my heart a little bit. But can you just
I'm gonna let it ride.
Please not. I'm trying to ask you to play some of the better pieces.
No, I'm letting this one ride. You brought it up.
Oh my God. So aside from this piece, I really enjoyed what Bear did, especially early on in his career. I mean, he was able to bring such different instrumentation to showcase what humanity would have brought.
Hold on, it gets worse.
Gets worse? Right. Act out some Twilight. Right? I'll be that. What's the girl's name?
No. All right. Well, I'll cut it to an end.
Good. Thank you.
I'll cut it to an end.
Thank Christ.
But no. But hey, don't swear.
I'm not. That's not a swear.
Oh,
Thank
so
Cobol?
yeah.
What am I supposed to say? Thank Cylons.
Whatever.
I have no idea. We're pretending right now.
Don't worry about it.
Battlestar World.
Don't. Anyway,
Okay.
so Bear McCreary, he brought an entirely new level. The only person that I think was doing the same level work at this time
As
was
Bear.
Michael Giacchino in Lost, and I would say that Giacchino was better. I might be a little partial. I also feel that Giacchino's work was a little bit more fleshed out and wide ranging, but
I would say less fleshed out than Bear. But
wow,
okay.
really?
I think Bear was actually more fleshed out. He did a lot of varied stuff, whereas I love Michael. I love Michael Giacchino. We've gone to see him in concert now, twice?
Twice.
And I think he's fantastic. But if you're comparing this soundtrack to Lost, I would say that Lost is it's kind of a lot of the same things. Whereas this one, hey, he even touched upon Twilight. He had
Yes, he did.
bagpipes. He had all sorts of stuff. So.
Well, regardless, he brought a whole new level to television watching. And again, I can't reiterate this point enough. The fact that he did it on sci-fi and the fact that they allowed him and
To
Ron
score,
Moore to do
yeah.
what they wanted to do. They had a whole, like Giacchino had for Lost, they had a whole orchestra for BSG.
Which is just not normal. Like,
It's not.
especially shows on sci-fi, you're going to just have some bloke in his apartment,
have you ever seen,
scoring
it's like Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Remember
Yes.
the Jason Segel character?
Yes.
He would sit in his apartment and play on a keyboard, and he would mimic all these different sounds, and it'd be like tone music and kind of like what Bear does now for The Walking Dead. But they had a whole orchestra to themselves. That is so
It's
fracking
very, very
cool.
special.
So fracking cool. How about you, my love? What's your number 3?
My number 3 is Gaius Baltar. Because he made me laugh so many times. I hated him so much. Okay, so for those of you who are just watching this and they're like, whatever, I'll be spoiled. He was like this wicked, smart scientist, probably the smartest human on the planet Earth. And he found a really hot blonde. So they did the deed too many times, and he told her all these secrets about how he could ruin Earth. And come to find out, the blonde was a Cylon, a.k.a. robot, and she ruined Earth because he told her all of these secrets. So he was a traitor, and he, just goodbye. Thank you so much. He then magically becomes the president in a weird turn of events. I loved his just being detained. He lives in this weird dreamland half the time where he gets to talk and live with this Cylon, but then reality comes and sets in. So he's just crazy town.
Right.
And then in the midst of this, these people begin having this religious
They form a cult of Baltar.
a cult, yeah, on the ship about him, and he goes through every emotion. He has all the feelings, all the feels. He really does. But he was a joy to watch. He was an
Yes, he
absolute
was.
joy to watch. And if there came to be a slow part in the show, but Gaius came on, you'd perk up. You'd be like, all right, let's see what they have in store, because
Right.
he's either going to make me laugh or he's going to freak out and I'm going to get nervous for him, even though I hate him. So I had to put him in my top 5 because he honestly was probably my favorite character to watch.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, he was.
Well, I mean, I can see why.
Yeah,
I
he
can
was.
totally see why.
I don't want like a T-shirt of his face, even though that would be hysterical if I
had-
just walked around with that.
For a long time, the top part of our Facebook page was Baltar for president. I always thought that was really cool.
Yes.
My favorite part with Gaius Baltar, the stuff with the angels was really cool. Him and Six, and the stuff with Boomer 2's baby. I really liked that. Him being with all the different Cylons on the base ships, also really cool. But my favorite part with Baltar was when they showed the flashbacks to him on Caprica with his dad, and how his dad was this farmer, from I forget the planet's name. Oh, it's gonna bother me. Sorry.
How dare you forget his planet's name where he was a farmer?
But seeing his dad and how he had become, and then seeing it gave you it really gave you an idea of why Baltar
became who he was
and did what he did, because he just wanted to be anything else other than where he came from as a farmer. And he pushed himself to survive, and he was like a sniveling little rat, but he saw his father, and his father was just kind of there, and he was drinking, and he had to be in a home, and he had to be taken care of, and he broke out, and then he would take all the nurses and just kick him out, and Baltar had to pay for it all, and then the one scene with him that really got me going was when he was speaking to his dad, and he's like, "What do you want me to do, Dad? You want me to stop talking in my Capricorn accent?" And then he immediately closes up on his mouth, and he immediately switches from his very refined Capricorn accent, to this really different accent, just like this. It gave you such an in-depth knowledge of who Baltar was and why he prevented himself from becoming what his father was.
Do you know that the Facebook chat people hate Gaius?
Really?
Hate him.
Why?
Slapstick and geeky and dink. Denise threw in a dink for him.
Yeah, he can be a dink.
Spineless.
Can be spineless.
Giant ego. So I'm not saying I want to be his buddy.
Yeah, no, he's not my best friend.
I want to hang out. I'm saying I enjoyed watching him. He always pushed the plot forward. As I said, if there was a boring time and Gaius came on, I was like, all right, things are going to get fun. I'm going to sit back up and keep watching. So,
in my eyes, Gaius Baltar is one of the most fascinating characters I've ever seen. And not because he's this happy-go-lucky dude, but because he is so screwed up. And because he has all these different problems. He is a really fully realized character. You can have a character like, I don't know, the Comte Saint-Germain, who, in Outlander Season 2, spoiler alert, he was just there. And he was mad at Claire because she ruined his...
She lost him a lot of money.
She lost him a lot of money, sure, but it was just a shipment of stuff. And then he tries to kill her for it. Like, that to me is fracking boring as hell. There's nothing to it other than, I'm good looking. Look at me, and I hate Claire. I can't stand that. But what they did with Baltar was the opposite, and it's amazing.
Terry says, you couldn't have BSG without Baltar.
Thank you. Thank you, Terry. You can't.
I know. I'm saying I agree. Well, what's your number 2? We're getting down to the line.
My number 2
of your favorite things about BSG.
I think this is going to piss a lot of people off.
Oh my gosh.
I think it's going to piss a lot of people off.
Well, that is not good.
The ending.
Okay.
I fracking loved the ending. I loved everything about it.
Let me know if you loved or hated the ending in our Facebook chat.
This is a big deal because a lot of people hated the ending at the time and since. Like, the BSG ending is almost derided as much as the Lost ending and the Sopranos ending. Those are like the 3 shows that have the most controversial endings ever. And they consistently refer back to it. The critics and a lot of people panned it. A lot of people loved it. And like Lost and like The Sopranos, there was, I feel, this extremely vocal minority about the ending of those shows. To me, the ending of BSG was perfect. And I'm going to get into Kara later.
Okay.
But I'm going to say it's perfect because they find Earth.
Okay.
You have a reveal that it was before you and I lived. They are the ones who helped create us. It was a mix between us and the Cylons. That was Hera, the baby, right? And she was the mitochondrial Eve at the end, and people discovered that. And then we had the angels who came in and kind of pushed the inhabitants of Battlestar Galactica and the Cylons to do what they needed to do. You had that reveal that not only was Baltar seeing Six, but Six was seeing Baltar. And then they both could see each other. Oh my gosh.
Your heart just went, the thump, The thumb.
And then it all came together with the final five and the opera house scene. It tied in the conflict. It tied in the mythology. All of it came to a head at this one moment when Kara has to put in those numbers. And boom, there they are on Earth. The music mattered. The book of Pythia mattered. Everything that they had done, it all mattered. And it reminds me a little bit of Harry Potter in a way.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Wow. Again,
Yes.
I am so impressed, and I'm glad I married you.
It reminds me because in the end, everything in Harry Potter mattered. Everything. Whether it was the wands, whether it was the prophecy of Harry, whether it was what was happening with Professor Quirrell, or it could, or Wormtail. It all came together in the end. It all mattered. The only thing that didn't really matter in my eyes was the Deathly Hallows. Like, what did the Deathly Hallows accomplish? Like, yeah, you had the Deathly Hallows. Like, one was the wand. Spoiler alert. One was the wand. One was the blanket. Like, one was the ring.
Blanket.
You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. I'm ashamed you call it a blanket.
But they didn't really do anything. Nothing really mattered for regardless. The ending brought everything together. And what happened with Kara, in my eyes, was perfect.
Okay.
It was perfect.
We will discuss the ending in a little bit.
Yes, we will.
We're going to say my number 2, my favorite things about Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
God, I sound like such a nerd, and I am one. Okay, the love that Adama had for his son and his BFF Saltai, and for Starbuck.
Ah, okay.
Okay, when
what do you hear, Starbuck? Nothing but the rain. Oh God! Oh,
so good.
Sorry.
And how he tells her, you're like a daughter to me, and my mom was in the military for several years, and I grew up going to Navy base parties, and some of my babysitters were like Navy wives whose husbands would be far, far away. And my mom didn't actually like have to be, away from us for very long, only 2 weeks out of a year for generally most of my life, and the weekends. But when you're in the military, the relationships that these people have, especially if they're under stressful situations, becomes this amazing family that in some ways is better than family because they go through very different conflicts and they have to often figure out how to work through those conflicts. I know sometimes families don't work through conflicts and they just say, whatever, we're just going to ignore that. But when you're manning a ship and when you're at war, you have to find a way to get through that. And it was tough. I mean, you got to see Adama and his son Apollo really clash heads for so much of the first half of the show. And even with Saul, when he found out that Saul was a Cylon, he still loved him. He still loved him and still said, no, you're my number one. You're my right-hand man. I don't care that you're a Cylon. And everything that he went through with Starbuck. My gosh. So just all the love from Adama, who I wouldn't have thought in the beginning of the series would have been able to have been capable of having so much love.
Right. And I want to also say, and Anna Spain had pointed this out, and she is 100% right. And Anna, thank you for joining us. I know you said you weren't going to be able to join us earlier, but here you are, and I'm so excited by that. She mentioned the scene at the end with Admiral Adama talking about building the cabin with
President Roslin.
With President Roslin, and how obviously she had passed away, and and it's the easterly view, and it's looking out over the ridge, and an absolutely perfect shot. Perfect. And the music, and
don't even get me started.
You can't.
It's so sad.
It's a perfect ending.
Except for one thing, which we will get to, but I agree with you. Adama, pretty good in my book.
It was so. Oh my God. Okay. I know that isn't very a technical analysis, but it was a perfect ending for what they were trying to accomplish. It was a
good bookend.
It was a brand new. Yes, it was a bookend. It started with Caprica being destroyed and ended with Admiral Adama building a brand new home on a brand new planet, looking out over the ridge, with a total unknown and humanity beginning unto themselves. How freaking cool is that? Really, you cannot get any
I
better
love how
than
you
that.
geek out more about my top 5 things than your own. This is very exciting. So, drum roll, please. What is your number one favorite thing about BSG?
Kara Thrace. Hashtag Starbuck. Hashtag one of my favorite characters ever written.
Okay.
And I like her better than I like Baltar. Everything having to do with Starbuck in this show, whether it was the boxing matches, like that whole scene when they're going back and forth between Starbuck and Apollo, Leodama, having their affair, even though they're both married, and saying how they love each other and they're going to proclaim their they weren't married at the time. I'm sorry. They were in relationships with other people, but they proclaim their love out into the abyss, and it's dark, and everyone's dancing, and they've made a new planet. It's New Caprica, and how cool is that, right? Mm-hmm. But it's also this other ugly side of Starbuck, where she is cheating on her husband, and you want to root for her, but you can't.
I know, and it's very difficult.
And then
because
also,
I love her.
And then getting into her relationship with her mom, and how she and then how like Leoben takes her back to her mom when her mom is dying. And
I do not want a Leoben in my life.
No. But
he was like the ghost of Christmas. Which one? Present? Is that where Scrooge starts to get a little sad?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I don't even know. But he was just like all of the 3 ghosts in Christmas Carol combined. That makes you just feel really bad for Scrooge.
Yep.
That's what Leoben was.
And let's talk, and then also bringing her back to her mom when she was dying, and you realize that she was just trying to live up to her mother, and her mother made these huge expectations for her, and she could never live up to it in her mother's eyes.
Does this scare you as a parent? I mean, we're watching these TV shows where kids who become adults are completely messed up because of their parents.
All the great shows, they all have parent issues.
Oh,
Somehow,
gosh.
some way, like Bloodline, all parent issues.
Man,
Lost,
man.
parent issues. The Leftovers, parent issues. Breaking Bad, parent issues. Like
maybe our kids will just be boring and they'll be like, shucks, my parents were so kind and supportive.
Our kids will be the NCIS of life, hopefully.
Boring show ever.
But and then how she sees her dad and how that relates to her passing away and going in Maelstrom when she goes into into the big hurricane, and then she ends up on Earth, but somehow she's recreated and she turns into an angel, and then we have the coup de grace.
Oh, what?
The ending when she is the angel and she's talking with Lee. And she says, "My time is up here. I've done my job."
I have a problem with this part.
And she says to him, "So what are you going to do with your newfound life?" And he turns around. And he says, "I want to discover new things. All I wanted to do was just do nothing, but now I want to go out and explore." And he turns around, poof.
And he's alone once again. Poor
God.
Apollo, who has had nobody have his back the entire series, is alone. His dad went to go hang out with some dead chick. We'll get more into this later. My number one. You want to know what my number one is?
Well, I'm not done with Kara.
Okay, sorry.
I love. You know what? Okay, fine. Go ahead. No.
You can fangirl.
No. Okay, I'm gonna fangirl. You want to know why I'm gonna fangirl?
Yes.
Because I have a Kara Thrace pop-up doll. Funko Pop, whatever it is. There she is. I love her that much that I have a Kara Thrace Starbuck Funko. She's right there.
She's smoking.
She's the best. She's smoking a cigar. And the reason why I really, really like her so much, and it's why I kind of didn't like her at first, was because she was such like a typical like person who was just like, who thought she was, it. She thought that she was awesome.
Unbreakable.
Yes. And I thought, what a cliche. Like, what's such a cliche. But then I realized Starbuck in the original Battlestar Galactica was a man. And when they subverted those expectations the way that they did, that is really special. That was a giant F-U to anybody who didn't
frack you.
Yeah, a frack you to anybody who did not want to accept Starbuck as a powerful, self-motivated, even crazy at times woman who could handle her own. And she was tough. That is, That is great. I love Star. I love Starbuck because she was so screwed up. She was so screwed up.
Why do you love me? Is that something bad?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Oh my God.
But she was so screwed up, and it was amazing. And I loved watching her be tough, and I loved watching her be like kill Leoben over and over and over again. But also falling in love with a kid that wasn't even hers.
Oh, but she thought it was.
But she didn't want to.
That was so messed up.
But she couldn't help it.
Oh.
She couldn't help it. And, God, I just love. Okay, you're number one, my love. What do you got?
The belief in Earth.
Or
the faking it till you make it that Adama did. Because Adama didn't really believe that there was going to be Earth.
No.
And
he knew that.
Yeah, and he just kind of was like, we have to make our people, like all of humanity, believe that we're trying to find something. Because, we're kind of just flying around in space. It's not really that big, right? Not really. It's ginormous. And I don't know. I don't know what to tell my crew. I don't know what to tell everyone else, the civilians. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants.
Right.
And I don't believe in Earth. And yet so many people did. And it was just really interesting to see how that belief kept people going.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it turns back to your fifth favorite thing about the show is just the mythology. And it's really interesting to see people question their beliefs, and especially in difficult situations, what they can cling to. And I just thought that it was absolutely beautiful.
Right. And you didn't need to know that Earth was a real thing. Like, I mean, technically Earth was a real thing. They just didn't know that they could find it. And even when they did find it, it was destroyed.
Yeah.
And it was just like, people were killing themselves. Remember Lee's wife kills herself.
Why
Like,
are you saying that like that? It was so sad.
it was sad, but I'm saying like it was real. It was, it was future, and but it just focused on the people and like the real repercussions of what was actually happening. That reality unto itself is what makes this show special. And even though there is this really big reality that this base reality that we could all relate to, there's also this really exceptional divine force that's at play. When you have, Angel Baltar and Angel 6 talking at the end, talking about how this has all happened before, it's going to happen again, and they're on Earth as we currently know it. And they're like, hopefully this doesn't happen again. And it ends with all the robots, and you have all along the Watchtower playing on the radio, and Ron Moore's sitting there reading the paper, like God is involved. And God, whatever way you want to figure it out, whatever way you want to believe, there is something else that's there. And even Angel Baltar says he doesn't like to be called God, and you know that. Oh my God. Oh my God. Just such an epic freaking show. All right, my love. What's the one thing you would change? If you could go back in time and go to Ron Moore and say, "Bro, time out. Let's reassess this one."
Okay.
If you could be in the room and say, "Nah, we're not doing that." What's that?
Aside from the fact that these people need to have dirty clothes at some point, I wish Apollo had a happier ending. Because, he didn't have a good relationship with his dad in the beginning of the show. He lost his brother, lost his mother. He loved Starbuck, but that never worked out. She ends up being an angel and leaves while he's talking to her. While she's like, yay, we made it. What do you want to do next? Really? Really, Starbuck? Please. My God. Come on. Give him a hug. And then his dad, I wish his dad said, I'm going to go build my cabin and hang out for the last few moments of life. And here's where I'm going. So come and visit me. Like, Dad left too. And Apollo's just there with these native people. And I just felt really bad. So I would have given Apollo just a little bit of love. I mean, his wife committed suicide. This guy, he got super chubby for no reason. Like, he just had a really rotten run. And my heart broke for Apollo. And my heart broke for lots of characters in this show. And I loved that. I loved that it became so human and that I loved them and hated them at the same time. I don't think I really hated Apollo ever. And I was just so sad for him. And when we finished, I said, that's it. That's what happens to Apollo. Everyone's like, peace out. Remember how we all said we loved you? Bye. So that's my one problem. How about you?
I agree with you about Apollo. And there's a very valid story reason in my eyes for me agreeing with you, which is the show starts with the miniseries. And in the miniseries, Apollo and Admiral Adama, his father, they hate each other. And it's probably more Lee hating his dad for abandoning them as a kid and doing what he had to do and getting divorced with his mother and all that other stuff. And his mother was putting things into his brain about his dad. And okay, great. The ending should have been, in my eyes, the President Rosalind dying, even Kara disappearing. Those were all okay. But the ending should have been Lee and his father being together because they started the show at hating each other and separate. And the whole character arc, the whole show, the arc, the whole thing would end up with those two together.
Like, just say, I'm going to go build a cabin. Do you want to be my neighbor?
Yeah, or
do you want to build one too, down the road? You
end it with Lee walking up behind Admiral Adama in that final shot.
Yes.
You see the two together. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Somehow, some way, they should have ended up together.
It broke my heart.
I wish they had each other because everybody else had. Lee wanted to explore, but he was going to go off by himself. Like, no, I think he wanted. I'm not sure he knew that Starbuck was an angel.
I don't think he did.
But even if he did, I think he thought that she was going to be with him.
Exactly. I didn't think he thought she was going to
because
disappear.
Sam was gone. He was a Cylon. And that was another thing too. Like taking characters that you love. You loved Tyrrell, right?
Yes.
You loved Sam, and it's not that you loved Colonel Ty, but he was Admiral Adama's bestie. Mm-hmm. So you kind of liked him for that.
Yep.
And you liked him for fighting back against New Caprica. And they took all those people and said, guess what? They're all Cylons, bitch. Like,
hey, seriously.
Oh, sorry.
Watch your mouth.
Sorry. They're all Cylons. So how do you like me now?
I like how you just re-say it as if,
that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I wish they had a better ending for Apollo because of that, though. I really do, and I agree with you on that. However, the one thing that I would go back and talk to Ron Moore about, and be like, if I was in the room, be like, in like my thickest Boston accent, I'd be like, nah, guy, we can't do that. That sucks.
That wicked sucks. You know what would be wicked pissa?
That wicked hard sucks, guy. You know what would be fracking awesome? Wicked awesome?
Wicked fracking awesome.
Shorten the amount of episodes that you have. Lessen the amount, because they were doing 22 to 24 episodes per season.
That's a lot of television.
And, that's an hour at a time. And at the time, that was normal for broadcast network television. That was normal. Mm-hmm. Lost was 22 to 24 episodes. 24 was obviously 24 episodes. Those were all happening at that moment in time. And as you have gotten into this golden age of television, this peak television that we now have, you're seeing episodes go down to 16, 13, 10. And now, even for like the leftovers coming up, it's 8. The Game of Thrones coming up is going to be 7.
I can't.
And because they would take all the junk out, all the filler.
Yes.
I love BSG, but there's filler. There's lots of filler. Remember the episode when the doctor was killing all the Sagittarians?
Oh my
and
God.
Hilo figured it out.
Yes.
And they had this whole thing. And
Yes.
I hated that episode.
Me too.
Then we had the Scar episode. I hated the Scar episode. Like the one with the Cylon ship that would kill all the colonial, all the Viper pilots. And then they had to go kill that one. They had to go kill the one Cylon ship. I hated that episode. There was a whole bunch of different filler in there that they could just cut right out and get down and dirty into the meat of what they were trying to accomplish. No, you could argue that perhaps it would be 13 to 16 episodes. I'll go along as high as 16, but doing 22 to 24 per season for for 4 seasons. It's just too much. Too much. And obviously they didn't know it at the time, and they
just did what was normal.
They didn't have the golden rule that they kind of have now, where 13 is kind of the max or where you want to be. Outlander, for example, it was an outlier that Outlander was 16 episodes its first season.
True.
People were lucky that they got 16. From now on, they're going to be 13, maybe even 10. But it's going to be 13 for this upcoming season. But
them's fighting words.
It's crazy. And, and so that's the one thing that I would change. Lessen the amount of episodes. However, I do want to give a honorable mention to one thing as being one of my favorite parts of BSG. The honorable mention goes to the storming New Caprica scene. When oh my God, when they storm New Caprica, and it's them and the Pegasus was supposed to go off, but then the Pegasus comes back, and then you have the Galactica, coming down and then jumping out of Earth's atmosphere before it lets out all the Vipers.
So cool.
And then, you have the famous line of 10,000 feet and falling like a rock, sir. And then you have Bear McCreary's drums, oh man. And the whole battle scene on the ground itself, and Saul Tide killing Cylons left and right. And that 15 minutes was one of my favorite sequences of television ever. Just seeing Galactica fall. And then zing, and then gone. Oh man, that was epic.
You not only had
television.
fun watching it the first time, but then you had fun watching it the second time, seeing my reaction, going, "Oh my God! Oh my God!"
Right.
God.
I was sitting there. I was tensing up. I was holding Mary's leg. I was holding her knee, and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was squeezing her really hard, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, Just wait till you see.
It's coming.
And she's looking at me, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I know this isn't very good podcasting or radio, but it was an amazing sequence. It was shot beautifully. It was written beautifully. And I still have dreams about that line, like I said, of 10,000 feet and falling like a rock. That's one of those moments in television that it's a very simple line, and on paper probably doesn't look like a whole lot. But when you see it actually happening, and you have the music and you have the intensity of everything, and what, not knowing if Galactica is going to survive, and they even played it off like that too, because once Galactica jumps back into jumps out of Earth's atmosphere, or Caprica's atmosphere, back into its orbit.
Yep.
You have all the base ships now going at Galactica, and they're shooting the hell out of it. And remember when they started panning out, and I remember this very vividly, they started panning out, and it's very sad music. McCreary's music swells up, and and they're panning out, and it looks like, oh my God, this is the end of Galactica. And Mary goes, oh my God, they're gonna do this? They're gonna destroy Galactica. And all of a sudden Pegasus jumps right in, boom, and all the missiles and the music pop, it goes back on again. They really played with you, and because again,
with Chubby Apollo at the wheel.
With Chubby Apollo.
I don't know why they had to do that to him.
That was another thing I wish they didn't do. I mean, I understand what they try to do,
just to show time,
and what the effect of being in space was for so long. Because they were there for a year or more in space just alone, and you can see how he would get depressed and start eating, and it'd be a mess. But yeah, they really played with the stakes, and because you weren't really sure if Galactica was going to make it, and it was real. That was real. It was there. It could have ended, and all those people could have died, but obviously they didn't. So, and then the show kept going on.
Has John Gallagher watched BSG?
I don't know why.
Because he just joined our Facebook chat. John Gallagher, who was our what is it called? Not man of honor. What's your
my best man?
Your best man.
Yes, he was my BM.
He oh ew. He has joined our Facebook.
Oh, hey John,
so
how are you?
John.
John was my best friend, and
is your best friend?
Yeah,
not was.
No, I said he is.
Okay, good. I thought you said he was.
At any rate, so that is my honorable mention.
Boom. I love it. And now it is time for some listener feedback.
So those drums right there, those are the drums that are playing. When
Sci-fi
when
attacking.
Galactica is going down on New Capra. Oh man,
That right there is some good Bear McCreary.
that's revenge music right there. That's revenge music. Like I'm gonna go get me some Cylons.
All right, so we asked for feedback on Facebook. And for those of you who are on Facebook Live right now, we're going to try to see if we can read some of yours as well. But here's some things that people submitted. So Kristen Lang said, 5 favorite things General William Adama times 5.
Yeah.
Thing I would change is
Gaius Baltar.
Gaius Baltar.
Or more politely, give him a backbone, really. Just give him something to actually
Less Scottish.
Yeah. He's too easily manipulated, and he does her head in. And Anna Spain, who is joining us, she also put in her top 5. And by the way, if this is when Pegasus shows up, dude. Yeah. Oh God, so cool. Anyway, Anna Spain. So by the way, guys, if you are in the Facebook Live chat right now, please put your favorite thing or your top 5 favorite things or the one thing that you would change.
Just the one. I can't read that fast.
Okay, yeah. So your one favorite thing,
or the one thing you didn't like, but exactly one thing.
Right. Anna Spain says number 1 was the Wall of the Dead, i.e., 9/11 style. The colonists were using, and then they were later the Cylons for their dead were using it as well. Really cool. Number 2, the song "All Along the Watchtower," just like Mary. Number 3, Starbuck and her men, the death and general her life. Anna, you and I are like on the same page on this one. Number 4, Cylons as humans and the bomb of Boomer being a Cylon. A great opening to the show.
Seriously?
Yes. And when Boomer shoots Admiral Adama, oh my God. I'm like, are they really going to have the guts to kill this guy?
Pause.
What?
Pause.
What?
People need to know about my theory. My theory that I had in the beginning of Battlestar Galactica.
What's that?
I thought you could tell out who was a Cylon and who wasn't because who was having sex. I swear, for so long, if someone was having sex, I was like, they're a Cylon, because Cylons want to do it. Like that blonde chick was doing it with Gaius, so that's going to be the thing. If people are having sex, they're probably going to be a Cylon. Remember?
I do remember that. But that was proven wrong when they found out that Tyrrell was a Cylon.
Oh, wow.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. Number 5, Richard Hatch to come back as a prisoner and rebel leader since he played Apollo in the original. It was so cool to have him come back and be a part of this show. And I agree with you. To have him, again, subverting expectations, taking Apollo and then making him a bad guy. How awesome. More revenge music. Yes. And number 5, the one thing that she would change would have to be Apollo and Starbuck not getting together after everything.
Yes.
She also did not like the boxing matches and the marriages and her death. And I'm going to say the boxing match episode was probably my favorite episode aside from the finale, or the two-parter finale. I loved that episode because you got the chance to find out so much about those characters. I loved the boxing match. Anybody else, my love? What do we got?
Denise Stewart says she loves Starbuck and the music, and she liked Saul.
Yes.
Word.
Team Saul, right there. Do we have anything else so far popping
I
up?
lost my chat.
Oh, okay. Missy Ortiz says, all I have to say is the cool thing is when I do watch the show, now I'm going to be thinking of you guys.
Yay!
Thank you so much. Let's see. Kristen Lang thought that Admiral Adama was really dead when he was shot.
I did too.
Right.
I did too.
Anybody else got anything else?
Last moments to weigh in on our BSG chat. This has been a long time coming. We of course got into this because of the Outlander connection, and I'm so happy that we did. It is something that if you like sci-fi at all, if you like Outlander, if you are just looking for a really interesting, different television show, we totally recommend checking out Battlestar Galactica. So, in the meantime, I think we're gonna close out the show. You
really want to close it out? That this is the end. This is the end of the BS. I've been waiting for months for this show. I'm not sure if I'm ready to let it go. You even created
like a really cute graphic.
I did because I'm really cool. By the way, we want to let you know that we're going to be doing a giveaway.
Yes, we are.
We're going to be doing a giveaway, and I'm going to bring it up right now for you. And the reason why we're doing a giveaway
It's a Battlestar Galactica giveaway.
Yes, it is. It's coming up on the Facebook Live feed
Ooh.
in a moment. And the reason why we're doing a giveaway is because this episode is being sponsored by
Except
an
it's
Etsy
not
shop.
named Blake Larson or Mary Larson.
No, it is not. And here it is. You can see it up now. It's actually a poster of the show. I mean, of the actual Battlestar Galactica itself. You can hang it up on your walls, or it doesn't really matter. You can put it in your office. If you have a nerdy studio like us, you can put it there as well. This is what it looks like. And for those of you who are watching the Facebook Live feed, and for those of you who are listening to the episode after the feed, I will put this on the show notes, and you can enter the giveaway after the episode is posted up on our website. And you can enter there. And the reason why we are doing this is because we are sponsored by an Etsy shop called Inked and Screened. And Inked and Screened, what they do is they actually have they do screened T-shirts. They do wooden keychains. They do all this really cool stuff, and they're all a lot of them are Battlestar
Vinyl decals, posters,
Right.
all different kinds of stuff.
and they do a lot of stuff with Battlestar Galactica. And I saw these guys. I contacted them, and I loved their stuff so much. Like we have this actually. Here it is. For those of you who are watching the feed, they gave us a wooden keychain.
People want to see your artwork, by the way. Is it easy to come off?
Okay, yes, it is. They gave us a wooden keychain that actually has the Battlestar Galactica seal right on it, and it's freaking awesome. And so they have a whole bunch of this stuff, and they want to let you know that this episode is brought to you by Inked and Screened Etsy shop. And actually, we have a deal for you to let you know.
A deal?
We have a very special deal. If you go to inkedandscreened.com, obviously check out all the great stuff, but if you want to buy anything there, if you don't win the poster that we put up, you can actually go and use the coupon code OutlanderCast, just one word, OutlanderCast, and get 25% off.
25%?
25%.
Wow.
I think that's the biggest coupon we've ever given.
That's amazing and
So-
awesome and so generous. So thank you so much
To
to
Inked-
our awesome sponsor,
Go
Inked and Screened.
So go to inkedandscreened.com. And for now, my love, I think I am finally ready.
This will be up on our website and in our show notes for those of you who do want to check out our sponsor.
Oh, you know what? I'll go get
inkedandscreened.com.
I'll go get my painting.
Okay. Well, why don't you play some music and I'll talk about what's coming up next.
Okay. Here, I'll play this for now. This is the song that was playing during the dancing scene on New Caprica. But don't close up the show yet without me.
Okay, so here's some fun facts. If you are a watcher of Outlander, don't worry, because we're going to be having tons of new Outlander cast episodes coming to you straight either through your podcast app, and we might be doing some Facebook Lives like this. I would love to know if you have had a chance to watch Facebook Live, what your thoughts are. Do you like the setup? Is it light enough? And those of you who watch The Leftovers, the Living Reminders podcast is coming back at you so incredibly soon. I'm so excited about that show. We're going to be doing it live just like this, but with different name logos below. Get pumped. And here's Blake with his awesome artwork. I'll let you know. So Blake has a weekly art class, and here you go. It's actually perfect. It's perfect. You might want to just tilt it so that the glare isn't there. But this, of course, is to... Oh, maybe don't do that. Now you guys know we have lights in our rooms.
Anyway, that's it.
Denise says, Blake, no words. Yay. So thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I'm not closing out the show. I'm not closing out the show at all. Don't you worry, darling. But I'm just thanking you guys because this was so exciting. This is our first Facebook Live and our new setup. And I would love to know your thoughts. So if you do get to watch this video, let us know what you think because we're pretty pumped about it.
All right, my love. Now I think
Now we can actually close out the show.
finally ready to close out the show.
We're going to close out the show, and I want to just thank all of you who've taken the time to listen and to geek out about all things Battlestar Galactica. Coming up in the near future for Blake and myself, we're We're going to be talking about The Leftovers because that's back in season. Going to be doing a lot of Facebook Lives for that. Going to keep you company during Droughtlander if you're missing out on some Outlander stuff. Want to let you know that we have a Facebook group called the Outlander Cast Clan Gathering. Check that out. But a huge, huge, huge thank you needs to go to all of our patrons who help support us and make this possible. You can find out more at patreon.com/OutlanderCast. And I want to especially thank Peg Cumby, Nikki Gastineau, Dana Mott Bronson, and Liz Turner for their incredibly generous support. Until next time, ladies and gents, I'm Mary Larson.
My name is Blake.
And you've been listening to the Battlestar Galactica special on Outlander Cast.
Doesn't it feel good to say that? Battlestar Galactica special?
It's a little hard to say if you're saying it fast.
Say
Battlestar
it
Galactica.
I've been waiting for this show for so long. I've missed it.
I know. It's good. It's very good for your soul.
All right, let's let the closing moments of Battlestar Galactica from Bear McCreary speak for itself.